Body is on.
Good morning. Good morning, all.
Good morning.
I'd like to call the meeting of the board to order. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Director Bott?
Present.
Director Garza?
Present.
Director Green? Present. Director Harrington?
Present.
Director Kim? Vice Chair Lowry?
Present.
Director Ryder? Is absent. Director Robinson? Is absent. Director Sorrell? Present. Director Webster Cross?
Present.
And Chair Taylor.
Present.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. The next regular meeting of the board is scheduled to be held Friday, April 25th at 9 a.m. To begin, I'd like to entertain a motion to allow directors Bott and Webster Cross to participate remotely in this meeting as voting members. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. The motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Thank you. The ayes have it, the motion carries. The first item on today's agenda is employee recognition, which will be reviewed by Andrea Gibson. Andrea.
Thank you very much. We're going to go through employee recognition, but first we're going to mention the new hires and promotions. So congratulations to Lena Fox as Director of Revenue Cycle Systems, Catherine Adelaken, Clinical Nurse Leader, Rachel Bolonio, Nurse Coordinator 2, Delisha Warmley, Manager of Finance at County Care, Charles Poe, Transportation Services Manager at Provident, Bridget Bailey, Accounts Payable Manager for Finance, and Crystal Priest, Public Health Nurse 4 for Public Health. Also, congratulations on the following promotions. Tarek Al-Yusuf, Chair of the Division of Cardiology, Vesna Petronic-Rosic, Chair of the Division of Dermatology, Seema Gandhi, Director of Medical Endoscopy for Gastroenterology, Monica Mercan Almeida, Medical Director of Core and Ambulatory Services, Arpesia Love, Director of Regional Operations South Cluster for Ambulatory, Cynthia Walsh, Director of Quality Improvement for Hospital-Based Services, Nessa Nkemniji, Speech Language Pathology Associate Manager, and Jason Sprague, Mental Health Supervisor at CIRMAC. And then finally, on the promotions, Christina Terrell, Mental Health Supervisor at CIRMAC, Arahani Bilisanor Mustaine, Clinical Operations Nurse Supervisor, and Gwendolyn Landfair, Hospital Security Officer 3. Apologies for any mispronunciations, but congratulations to everyone.
Congratulations.
Now we're going to go through employee recognition, and I ask if you are present and you're being recognized that you stand to receive that recognition. First, we'd like to acknowledge the opening of the Clinical Triage and Stabilization Center. On March 18th, President Preckwinkle joined Cook County Commissioners and Cook County Health leaders for a ribbon cutting in celebration of the Behavioral Health Clinical Triage and Stabilization Center at Provident Hospital. The goal is to provide the care patients need in a calming and supportive place without having to stay in the hospital or go to an emergency department. Please stand, everyone. I believe Dr. Nutter needs to stand.
Exactly.
Congratulations.
Well-timed.
Yes. Secondly, the Department of Nuclear Medicine accreditation, we wanted to give our congratulations to the department for earning a 3-year accreditation from the American College of Radiology. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Also, we want to recognize the Chicago Food Justice Summit. It was the 20th annual Chicago Food Justice Summit, and it was held this month. And it brought together food justice advocates, policymakers, and community members for workshops and discussions on critical food justice issues. The event was hosted by the Chicago Food Policy Action Council and in partnership with the Cook County Department of Public Health and the Chicago Department of Cultural Affairs and Special Events. I don't think we have anyone here present today for public health, but congratulations. Super Bowl commercial. Our Spanish language county care commercial aired on Telemundo, WSNS, during this year's Super Bowl game. Telemundo was the #1 Spanish language TV broadcast of the Super Bowl that reached 31 million households. This was an added value commercial that was provided as a bonus based on County Care's ad buy with the station. Congratulations to the County Care and marketing team. So Aaron and Alex, you need to stand up.
Here, here.
All right. Next, we wanted to acknowledge Donna Hampton-Smith, who is a CCH Community Resource Navigator, who recently received the Cook County Peggy A. Montez Unsung Heroine Award for her contributions and advocacy as a leader in Chicago's Washington Park neighborhood. The award is bestowed to 18 women in Cook County every year in honor of Women's History Month. She was nominated for the award by Commissioner Michael Scott. Congratulations and thank you for all you do to Ms. Hampton.
Thank you, Donna. Donna will be giving autographs after this. Donna, you gotta wait for your autographs.
Next, I want to acknowledge recognition of the National Black Nurses Association. So if you're present, please stand up. Congratulations to the CCH nurses who were honored by the Chicago chapter of the National Black Nurses Association during the 37th Annual National Black Nurses Day program on February 28th. Congratulations to all the honorees on this well-deserved recognition.
Well done.
There it works.
Yeah.
Also, we'd like to extend our congratulations to Alice Cameron, Director HIV Services at the Ruth M. Rothstein Core Center, for being honored with the 25th Annual Women Making History Award by the National Council of Negro Women. The Chicago Midwest section of NCNW's mission is to improve the quality of life for African American women, their families, and communities. I don't believe she's present here today, but
Well done.
Congratulations. All right, Simi, I see you there. Congratulations to Simi Joseph, PhD and DNP, System Senior Director of Nursing Innovation and Research, on her selection as a 2025 American Association of Nurse Practitioners Fellow. The AANP Fellows Program is dedicated to the global advancement of NPs and the high-quality health care they provide. So congratulations, Simi.
Well done.
Next, we'd like to extend our congratulations to nurse clinicians Sissy John and Anna Maria Gutang for presenting a poster, Structured Implementation Steps of Robotic-Assisted Surgery at an Academic Public Health System, and to Jaretha McComley, DNP, for representing CCH at a panel developing a robotic surgery program at this year's Association of Perioperative Registered Nurses Global Surgical Conference and Expo. The annual surgical conference unites perioperative nurses from around the world to share best practices. So congratulations. And that concludes the recognition.
Oh, thank you. Well done. And
you, everyone.
welcome to all of our new employees.
Chair,
Isabel.
if I could, just briefly, a moment of personal privilege. I want to say congratulations to all of you. And while I and my colleagues, we get to brag about everything going on with CCH and point to all the great things at Stroger and Provident and our clinics, it's all of you that really make it happen. So I just want to slow down a minute and acknowledge you in a very sincere way and say thank you. To Donna Hampton-Smith, you're amazing. Everything I do in the 3rd District, you're there. Elder Lanyard Smith is there, and I really want to thank him for always partnering with me with my men's health fair, which of course is an opportunity for us to take the many services that we provide here at Stroger and at Providence to the community. So I want to acknowledge that and say congrats again to all of you.
Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next item is public testimony. As a reminder, written testimony will not be read into the record, but will be included in the official record of this meeting and posted to the website. Madam Secretary, do we have any speakers who have registered to provide in-person or virtual oral or submitted written testimony?
We did not receive any registrations nor any written testimony.
Okay, perfect. The minutes of the February 28th board meeting are being presented for your approval. They're in your packet. I assume you read them. Are there any corrections or revisions that need to be made to the minutes? Directors? Hearing none, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve item 4A, the board meeting minutes of February 28th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. The motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? None? The ayes have it. The motion carries. Next, Director Garza will review the Human Resources Committee meeting minutes. Director Garza?
Thank you, Chairman. The Human Resources Committee met on Thursday, March 6th at 11:30 a.m. The next regular meeting of the Human Resources Committee is scheduled for Thursday, May 8th at 11:30 a.m. We're not planning on having staff re-review the report from the meeting. If any additional questions are raised regarding the presentation or the metrics contained within the minutes, staff are here to present and ready to address. We did receive a report from the Chief Human Resources Department, which is included within the minutes and also included information on the following subjects: the FY 2025 metrics, the FY 25 CCH HR activity report, the current state of separation, the current state of nursing, the current state of agency usage. The committee did not go into closed session, so if there are no further questions, the minutes are being presented for consideration at this time.
Thank you.
Sir.
I'd like to entertain a motion to approve item 4B, the minutes of the meeting of the Human Resources Committee of March 6, 2025.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. The motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. The motion carries. Next, Director Bott, please show your mic. Director Bott will review the Quality and Patient Safety Committee meeting minutes.
Thank you, Mr.
Are
Chair.
you stepping in? Okay, never mind.
Oh,
Got me working overtime.
okay.
Garza, to you.
Yeah, thank you. The Quality and Patient Safety Committee met on Friday, March 14th at 9 a.m. The committee approved the following action items, which are included in those minutes. They approved the Stroger and Providence Hospital medical staff appointments, reappointments, and changes. The committee received the following reports, which are included in the minutes: operational excellence, dashboard goals and tactics, Providence Hospital site review, Stroger Hospital site review, ACHN site review, regulatory and accreditation update. The next meeting of the committee is scheduled for Monday, April 14th at 8:30 a.m. If there are no other questions on the minutes, they are being presented to this board for its consideration at this time.
I'd like to entertain a motion to approve item 4C, the minutes of the meeting of the Quality and Patient Safety Committee of March 14th, 2025, containing the following items: approval of the proposed
So moved.
Stroger Hospital and Providence Hospital medical staff appointments, reappointments, and changes. Do I have a motion?
So, second.
Thank you. The motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion on this motion? Thank you. Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? Thank you. The ayes have it. The motion carries. Thank you. Next, Director Harrington will review the Finance Committee meeting minutes.
The Finance Committee met on Thursday, yesterday, March 6th at 10 a.m. The next regular meeting of the committee will be held on Thursday, May 8th at 10 a.m. The committee considered the following action items, which are included in the minutes: conditionally approved 31 contracts and procurement items, numbers 4, 7, 10, 27, 28, and 29 are pending review by contract compliance. On the screen, you'll see the contractual requests from the Finance Committee whose fiscal impacts are greater than $1 million. They are highlighted for your information. We received and filed grant award related items. The committee also received the following reports, which are included in the minutes. Report of 2 emergency purchases, report of January financials, monthly report on agency reduction plan. If there are no further questions, the minutes are presented for the board's approval at this time.
Thank you, Director Harrington. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve item 4D, the March 6, 2025 Finance Committee meeting minutes, which contain the following action items: conditional approval of the contract and procurement items, pending review by contract compliance, receiving and filing of grant award related items. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. The motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. The motion carries. Charles. So the next item is proposed contract being presented directly to the board for consideration. Charles Jones, Chief Procurement Officer, and the department leads requesting this will provide an overview of each item. I assume.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning again. Charles Jones, Chief Procurement Officer. Item number 1 will be withdrawn, and so therefore we go to item number 2, which requires a responsive letter from the Office of Contract Compliance. It is in progress, and we don't anticipate any issues. So, Mr. Williams.
Sure. Debbie, do you want to advance the slide?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Thank you. Craig Williams, Chief Administrative Officer. Good morning. This is for a contract with Power Ujama 7 LLC, and this is to amend the previously approved contract, which totaled $372,807,782. It's a 60-month contract, which will commence 6/1/25 to 5/31/30. This contract was originally approved by the board in November of 2024. However, the vendor name has changed, and the contract start and end date needs to be adjusted. This is for the construction manager at risk services for improvements to Stroger Hospital. And the $372 million of projects will all be capital improvement projects focused at Stroger, mostly on infrastructure. There are some clinical improvements projects included there, and then the demolition of the admin and HECTO buildings are included in those projects. And this contract does include two-year renewals.
Are there any questions, Director? So to clarify, the only change is the name of the corporate
The
client.
name and the date.
And the date, and the two adjustments.
The vendor formed an LLC, which is why the name changed.
Okay. Directors, any questions or concerns? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'd like to entertain a motion to approve request number 2 in the agenda under item 5A, the proposed contracts and procurement item, subject to completion by our contract compliance team. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Thank you. The motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? None? The ayes have it. The motion carries. Thank you.
And so.
The next item will be the CEO report. So standing instead of Dr. Mercaitis, we have Andrea Gibson. Andrea, to you.
Thank you. And Dr. Mercaitis is with us remotely, but he asked me to walk through the slides. So the first slide focuses on, our monthly roundup of what we identify as an accomplishment related to the strategic plan and some of the things that are in the works that will be coming soon in the coming months. Under accomplishments, the Chicago Executive Forum awarded the Stroger Team an Innovations Award to recognize improved throughput, reduced turnaround time, and increased patient satisfaction. We've already recognized the American College of Radiology accreditation, but also CCH's Cancer Center was selected as one of the 20 programs for the genetic testing for breast cancer. We launched marketing campaigns to increase awareness about HIV testing and services, launched digital campaigns to promote Express Care, and we've also already mentioned the CCDPH Food Justice Summit. Next, we received approval to use an accelerated hiring pilot process for hectone positions, recruited a new cornea surgeon to see additional patients awaiting LASIK procedures. We've also finalized the draft of the proposed volunteer services policy, and we have worked to finalize a portion of the Vizient operational database. So the submission that we made was for lab, surgery, respiratory, imaging, emergency, and HR. And finally, under accomplishments, the psychiatry department moved and began seeing patients at the Bronzeville Health Center. We've talked about the crisis triage and stabilization center. We also have added urogyne surgery at Provident and conducted the first spine surgery at Stroger utilizing the spine navigation system. Some of the things that are coming soon include an article from the Substance Use Disorder team entitled Variations in Acceptance of American Society of Addiction Medicine Continuum Levels of Care for Substance Use Disorder Treatment in an Urban Safety Net Primary Care Health Setting. In addition, we're finalizing a redesign of the infusion center pharmacy in the professional building, replacing the Stroger Emergency Department radiographic imaging system, creating a provider onboarding form to enhance communication, and purchasing some additional beds and stretchers. Neurosciences and HIS are partnering to advance teleneurology capabilities to every neuro ICU room, and this will be the first unit at CCH equipped with individual teleneurology and tele-ICU services in each room. Rehab services, pediatrics, and family medicine will be moving to Bronzeville this month, and we are currently in the process of purchasing some additional scopes for expansion of capabilities there. So with that, I'll shift to a quick ARPA progress to date. Last month, I shared with the board that we had spent $57 million. That has moved up to $60 million. We're still trying to push hard on getting expenditures out of the door for a lot of reasons. We want to make sure we fulfill what we're trying to do under ARPA, and we want to spend, make sure we spend the money by the end of 2026. So efforts are currently underway to try to accelerate this further. But the budgets for this year are finalized. We're working on cash flow estimates and accelerating expenditures, and working on various sustainability plans in a dynamic environment. So more to come there.
Dynamic, is that
Dynamic, yeah. Okay, now we're going to shift to looking at the strategic plan. We've got a few areas that we wanted to highlight for you today. The agenda is we will hear from the cancer service line and the neurosciences service line, and then I will share some of the feedback we've received from employees and the community on our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And I apologize, my "we are here" arrow is pointing to March, but obviously we're in April. And at the next board meeting in April, we'll be hearing from nursing, behavioral health, and technology on strategies surrounding those areas. In May, we're going to present information on our long-term facility plan, and which shifts the draft strategic plan to June, to present to the board. So next slide. I think I'll invite, Erica Radicki and Dr. Urjit Patel, to the table in the front, to walk through the cancer service line information.
Andrea, table or podium?
Table. And my caveat that I shared last time is we're in this dynamic environment. We would love to grow service lines further, but until we know what's happening with funding and other things, you know, we're making plans, but we'll be mindful of the environment we're in as we move forward. So with that, Dr. Patel.
Thank you. Urjit Patel, Medical Director of the Cancer Center.
Erica Radicki, Director of Ops for the Cancer Center.
So thank you, Ms. Gibson, Chair Taylor, and the Board of Directors. We wanted to highlight at a high level the accomplishments of the Cancer Center as well as our upcoming goals, brevity being a focus here. So again, we're guided by our mission, vision, and values, which you see before us. You've seen this slide before, but I think it bears reminding. Our mission is to provide the highest quality integrated care across the cancer care continuum for the community we serve. Next slide, please.
I have a question.
Please.
Could you expand on the area of health equity, because equity's become a bad word? And what do we mean when we talk about health equity?
What I think we mean by it is that we have a good understanding of the community we serve in Chicago, the county of Cook, and wider than that. And we want equitable and just care for the entire community that we serve. I think it's become a difficult issue as of recent, but we don't think our mission has changed in that regard.
Thank you.
Next slide, please. As a reminder, this is the 5-year plan that we assembled 4 years ago when we launched the service line, and it bears just a moment to reflect and look back. If we look back at 21 and 22, we are proud to say we've accomplished virtually every portion of the 5-year plan that we set forth at that time. It took some time, but we accomplished every one of those check marks. As we look ahead to 23 and 24, the vast majority of those are either underway or accomplished. In 23, one of our highlights was accreditation by the Commission on Cancer. That's a 3-year cycle, and we were reaccredited. And I can assure the board that if one remains an accredited center in good standing, that demonstrates a whole host of things that are going right for the institution. In 2024, we'd like to highlight what is the largest capital expense approved by this board to replace the linear accelerators in radiation oncology. That is underway. We broke ground literally 2 weeks ago, and by the end of this year, we hope to have that completed. So capital expense of $13 million to bolster that arm of cancer care. Next slide.
So just a few other accomplishments that weren't already outlined in the 5-year plan. We really want to point out how proud we are of implementing a supportive oncology program. So we'll go into a little bit more detail in the next slide, but it just really focuses on behavioral health, dietary, and again, we'll cover that in the next slide. We are continuing to make improvements and optimizing our revenue cycle, really focusing on why we're not getting prior authorizations, really focusing on the patient registration process, which really sort of focuses or launches the whole revenue cycle process, and then really paying attention to why our patients aren't showing and trying to reduce our no-show rates. We're also really proud to report that we've supported the lung cancer screening program with patient navigation support. And this program is really geared toward finding cancers and detecting them at an earlier stage. So that program is going very well. Lastly, on this slide, I just wanted to point out that we are really proud to have received a Patient Choice Award for high performing clinic, likelihood to recommend our service, our providers. We have a very strong focus on patient experience in the last 2 years, and we're really proud to report that. Next slide, please.
I have a question.
Yes.
Regarding the no-show rate, Do we have an idea of what that rate is? Because you want to reduce it. Is it,
Yes.
is it large? Is it small? I mean,
It's about 15%. So it's been steady. We understand, looking at the data, that we need frontline staff support with clerking. And so some patients are calling off to, report that they're not able to show up for their appointments, but it's being reflected in our reporting that they didn't call. So we just need to have a faster turnaround time at getting those calls picked up from patients and getting them rescheduled.
yeah, and there are different types of visits. Some more important than others. I mean, routine visits are routine visits.
Correct.
And so we have a breakdown of what those visits are, and those visits that are essential, are they higher or lower in terms of, because it's just a 15% that you reported, but that includes all visits.
Yes, that's true.
One example would be the infusion center. That's a high priority visit. We know our no-show rate is there quite better. We're probably in the 93% success rate there.
Thank you.
Next slide, please.
I'm sorry, I have a question on this slide, and maybe this is, we brought in $5.7 million in NIH funding, right, for the cancer. Do we have a sense of where that funding stands?
At the moment, it's in good standing, and there's been work done recently as part of the transfer from Hectone to CCH that I think the board is aware of, and I believe that process is about to go to completion literally any day now. We don't know anything beyond that. We have not gotten any directives from the NCI, other than what we see in the news about various staff being let go on a day-to-day basis. The grant that is supported is a minority-based grant, and that language concerns me. I mean, I think it's the right language,
Right.
but it concerns me is how that's being handled in DC.
Thank you. So a highlight to your point, dynamic. Thank you.
Dynamic.
We're aware, so you know. Please.
Next slide, please.
Thank you. As you may know, my resolution led to our program where we now have prostate and breast screening available for the residents of Cook County Health. And when I varied that resolution at a national conference and included screening for lung cancer. It appears that we may have an opportunity to have some support from an outside entity. I'd like to touch base with one of you so we can discuss that opportunity more, because I think these days more than ever, if we can bring other resources to CCH from wherever, as long as it's legal, I'm interested. So let's talk about that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'd be eager to do that. Both programs are progressing, the birthday screening as well as the lung cancer screening, and if we can tie those together with resources, we would love to do that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, next slide.
Next slide, please. So this is just a little bit more depth in the services that we added in the last few years. As I mentioned in the past slide, we've added, new billable visits for psychology, psychiatry, dietary support, genetic counseling, and cancer survivorship. Not indirect revenue generating services, we also have a cancer-specific social worker, patient navigators, and a medical assistant who really focuses on our prior authorization. Next slide, please. And just an overall look at what our volume has been in the past 3 years. We've been able to maintain our volume, pretty steadily, even though we had, a staff shortage in our hematology service. So we're looking to, rebound in that area with the hiring of staff, and then hopefully project some growth for the coming year. Next slide.
So we're coming to the conclusion of the presentation, but these are some of the high-level plans for 2025, and this bears about 2 minutes to go through in detail. The first two are just sort of regulatory issues where we need to do a little bit better busy work in terms of some of our protocols and oncology templates and electronic medical record. Major goal of 25 is to modernize the breast center and mammography. So also as part of the birthday screening, we need a nice destination for our patients to come and undergo this screening. The NCORE clinical trial grant we already touched on. As we move to the infusion center, further efforts at optimization mean getting ambulatory infusion pumps and pushing some of our infusions to at home. This will be improved patient satisfaction as well as efficiency of the infusion center. Looking at survivorship care, we're expanding to include reproductive health support for largely our women population, but also all genders. Next line is, again, the finalization of the radiation oncology project. So again, $13 million spend, very heavy lift, a lot of active management on a week-to-week basis with our C-suite and operations people to keep radiation functioning while we're doing this major project. Nuclear medicine was recognized earlier today, and there we've expanded services to something called PSMA PET scans. This is the latest in imaging for prostate cancer. Currently, we have to outsource this to other institutions. Nuclear medicine has begun doing that here at CCH, and we can keep those patients here. Also mentioned was the pharmacy build-out in the infusion center. As this building was constructed, it was designed to have a pharmacy in oncology. It's been 5 years, and we're finally ready to open it. That'll take quite a bit of work over the course of this year, but hopefully we'll present in the future that is up and running. And then finally, we believe strongly in the fiscal responsibility of the service line. So we're expanding billing to patient navigation. This is new. This is a new CMS billing opportunity for the whole country, but we're ready to pilot that here with our oncology patient navigators.
Could you provide a little additional information about the PSMA PET scans and what they do and what kind of difference that could create moving forward in terms of patient outcomes?
So there's a new term out there called theranostic. It's a mixture of therapy and diagnostic. This type of imaging, first of all, detects in the body areas of prostate cancer that previous imaging was unable to detect. That's the diagnostic portion. The medication used in the study can also be coupled with an anti-cancer agent, which then delivered is the therapy part. So currently other neighboring institutions are doing PSMA PET scans and the therapy that goes with it. We're already now doing the diagnostic portion here at CCH, and then hopefully with some new medication additions to the formulary, we can do the procedural part or the therapy part. So this is the sort of the state of the art of prostate care.
And that produces better outcomes?
Yes, those are being demonstrated that in that population that we're finding this previously undetected cancer, that we can treat it, and we're starting to see improvement in outcomes.
Wow, great.
So proud to get that going.
So you'll be highlighting that at your summit.
You better believe it. That's great. Thank you.
Sure, and I'm happy to provide more details as needed. Next slide. And again, in the interest of time, this is just to demonstrate some of the things that we're in discussion with our Chief of Strategy and the C-suite. These are priorities for the next 3 years as we build out our next 5-year plan. And again, just to show you, we have ideas. I don't want to go into any detail here, but 2 things. CAR T-cell therapy. This is also an outsourced type of therapy right now. We'd like to bring that in-house. And then something, line 4, the oncology triage clinic. We'd like to build the opportunity to handle our cancer patients in a location other than the emergency department for unforeseen issues. So the oncology triage clinic would be a really nice addition to our program. So we will conclude there and happy to take any questions.
I don't have any additional questions, but the lay public, cancer gets its name from where it occurs, but it's the same disease pretty much, no matter where it occurs.
I think that's a good way to say it. It's uncontrolled growth in whatever body part is being affected.
Thank you very much. Well done. You've been busy.
Yeah. Great. Oh, no, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great. Now I would like to invite our neurosciences team up to the table. We have Dr. Ahmed and Anne-Marie Caulfield.
Good morning. I'm Anne-Marie. Oh, good morning.
I'm Sohail Ahmed.
And feel free to start with the good news of this week.
Oh, we were hoping to close with.
Oh, close.
Oh, close.
Okay, well,
All right.
So you'll get the boring stuff from me, and then you'll get the exciting stuff at the end. So our purpose in neurosciences, very much in line with the purpose, the mission of CCH, is to align all clinical and non-clinical sections of neurosciences to the mission and vision of Cook County Health to improve patient care. And this is just a little diagram of, the various areas within neurosciences. Next slide, please. So our accomplishments that we're very proud to talk about, and I won't go sort of line by line in detail, but we began a neurocritical care service and opened a neurotransfer service. as well as telestroke services in the last, I would say, 1.5 years. We implemented a continuous EEG program, which is critical to those top 3 services that I just mentioned. We have multidisciplinary clinics in stroke, and we're moving toward a brain recovery and movement disorders clinic in this coming year. We built a Provident outpatient clinic that actually has grown very well, better than expectations. We've expanded neurosurgery services by providing a VNS. We have a stroke floor for those post-ICU patients. We have applied for, well, that's actually a little bit on hold right now, pending some deeper investigation into radiology at Provident, but we hope to become stroke ready at Provident in the coming years. Of course, you know, we've hired critical people to the service line, and we opened our neurosciences ICU. Finally, in our accomplishments, we've received the American Heart Association Get With the Guidelines Stroke Gold Plus for last year. We'll be submitting our data soon for this year, and so hopefully we'll level up from there again. Next slide, please. This is just a graph of our volumes over the last couple of years, and you'll notice some up and downs, but I think the key point that we want to point out here is during a pretty chaotic period of time in our world in the last 5 years, and through a significant amount of provider attrition, we've been able to maintain and even grow our clinics in certain areas, and so we wanted to highlight that. Next slide, please. This is our neurosciences ICU census by month since it started in December of 2023. So our volumes have been very strong and pretty steady, and so we just wanted to highlight that as well.
And the dips you primarily attribute to, you use the term provider attrition?
Not necessarily. This is specifically for neurocritical care and the neurosciences ICU. So our staffing is really great, like in this area. Number of patients that we get for the neurosciences is very high level, like emergencies. So that fluctuate like neurotrauma, like acute strokes. So you don't have like a specific elective like population here.
Thank you.
Next slide, please. Okay, there you go.
So I'll start with what Anne-Marie was like alluding to. So this week it's been exciting, and for us, we had the Joint Commission Stroke Center recertification visit on April 1st and 2nd. And we successfully completed it with extremely glowing remarks. And I'm going to mention a few of those here. By the surveyor who was very experienced, someone who actually writes the Joint Commission guidelines. Maybe I think more than anyone like in the room, I have been into these Joint Commission stroke center like surveys. I've been to a place where we had 17 primary and like 3 comprehensive stroke centers. And I've never been into any concluding conference like remarks the way she has given us like this time. So 3 of them I'll mention. We are the only center in the Region 11, first of all, who performs mechanical thrombectomy here like in Chicago and has a neurocritical care program. There is no other primary stroke center in the country that they have been to, Joint Commission has been to, who are functioning at our level. And there are many clinical components, quality components that we are performing at the level of comprehensive center or beyond. So just the difference between the primary stroke center and comprehensive stroke center is something similar to level 1 trauma and level 3 trauma. So there is a huge difference in terms of like the care that is like provided at these like centers. So this was nothing but extraordinary what we received in terms of like the compliments. The last one was the excellent outcomes with the critical patients of ruptured aneurysms, head bleeds, and complex strokes, and many of these patients going to home. So she actually suggested us that, hey, you need to update your website. You need to take these patients, go out like in the community, because what is happening here, we have never seen this like happening anywhere like across in the country in terms of the outcomes. So when you receive, I would say, glowing remarks like this does not happen by the efforts of the stroke team, neurosciences team alone. So I'll take a minute, and I just wanted to make sure I'm recognizing everybody, all the offices which were like involved like in this. starting with our medical administration and Dr. Rudy Kumaple's leadership, who kept me on the toes for last several weeks and even prior to that, and with his continued guidance as well as his follow-ups with us in terms of the preparation of this survey. The excellent collaboration with the nursing team, Dr. Peters and her team, and Rajit Thomas and her team. Craig Williams as the administrative head of the service lines, and last but not the least, Andrea Gibson and Ratna with their partnerships and ongoing projects that we have for our community. Clinically, I would also like to mention, because the stroke program goes beyond the borders of just a stroke and neuro, there were a lot of positive on-site remarks given for our ED and the ED program, the EMS, the way ED takes these patients and does the initial clinical stroke pathways. Our hospitalist medicine service and the Department of Medicine, Dr. Hart and Dr. Painsell, and the radiology pathways we have. I think I have included everybody. So congratulations to everyone, and thank you everyone that we were able to partner with.
Congratulations, well done.
Thank you. The other few areas here, as you mentioned, our work along with our strategy team continues to partner with the community hospitals, and there are one or two projects which are mid to close to completion stages, where we would be providing teleneuro, acute teleneuro, and telestroke services. And these community hospitals are very excited about the outcomes that we have had, even without having these services with them, so to partner with us. As mentioned earlier, with our neurocritical care and neurotrauma program, to provide that 360 outpatient follow-up, we are going to start a outcome clinic for these patients, where they'll be seen in the clinic with a multidisciplinary group, including our team as well as PM&R and a lot of social and case managers to provide them all the resources. VNS is a program for the epilepsy patients. Typically, you don't hear that epilepsy patients can have any sort of surgical treatments. But this is a very unique, newer, latest modality, innovative program, in which through a really non-major surgery, a device is implanted, similar to a pacemaker, where we can suppress the seizures to a significant extent. We have had really good outcomes in this area, and we have established a pathway and the workflow for these patients, and we have patients' cases planned for this year as well. Next slide. So when I mentioned all about the comprehensive stroke and us doing work similar to comprehensive stroke centers, but not being a comprehensive stroke, that's a bit of a pain point for us. You might be aware in Region 11, EMS policies such that we do not get critical, highly severe stroke patients. We get actually bypassed to the surrounding hospitals. So even without it, we are working at this level. Once we go to the next level of designation, I think that is going to be our inflection point and just acceleration from that point on. Just to give you kind of a national scoop, the comprehensive stroke center, there are several county hospitals, right? In all of the NYC hospitals, Bellevue is the only place which is a comprehensive stroke center. And
Where? I'm sorry?
I was just giving you the scoop of comprehensive stroke and why it's rare and why it's important for us. Out of all the NYC hospitals in New York, Bellevue is the only hospital which is comprehensive stroke. And down in Atlanta, Grady is the only place which is comprehensive stroke. I don't know any other county hospitals, public hospitals which are comprehensive stroke centers. So it's a big deal, more so from the patient care standpoint, especially for our community. Both these hospitals, the comprehensive stroke centers and their neurosciences programs are served by respective university academic places, NYU at NYC Bellevue Hospital and Emory at Grady. To my knowledge, we are the only hospital system that we have established internally, our team, not dependent on any other academic center for the neurosciences and stroke. So once we receive this designation, we very likely will be the first hospital, first center in the country to do this on our own. So this is extremely important for us. And the second under evaluation activity, of course, is us being such a recognized teaching institution throughout the country, neurology being critically short of the neurologists overall, all over the country. Establishing a neurology residency program is just the next step and natural, and comes with several advantages to us. That's all. Thank you.
Any questions? Look at me. Any additional questions? Correct. Thank you very much. Well done, and congratulations.
Next, I wanted to walk through some of the work we have done with getting feedback from employees and community members on what we should reflect in the strategic plan for the next 3 years. We held multiple town hall meetings. We attended a number of employee meetings. We had a community survey that went out. We also had an employee survey that went out, and we got more responses than we did the last time 3 years ago. So as a result of that, we've compiled the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and I'll run through them. These were the highest, these were the ones that were most identified by the employees and the community members we talked with. So under strengths, the following are the things that were identified as the strengths of the organization: our commitment to the mission, the community and patients, our ability to do community outreach and engagement, our use of social media, the diversity and dedication of the staff, the high quality medical staff, the gains we've been able to achieve in quality of care ratings, the ability to address critical public health concerns, establishing the nursing pathways to excellence here, and also nursing training programs, the broad network of services available to county care members, the training and pipeline programs, notably the Providence Scholarship Program, our improved financial position compared to several years ago, being part of the county government. Looking at the next slide for weaknesses, the ones that were identified through our process included making sure we have timely access to all services, our reliance on agency staffing, some of our administrative processes like hiring and procurement, ensuring that we are able to make community connections for detainees discharged from the jail. And from an employee, mostly an employee perspective, making sure we have good role definition, accountability, succession planning, training resources, and more teamwork. Having sufficient clinical staff, and allowing the clinical teams to focus on providing clinical care rather than administrative work. One other area that was identified is operating in silos, and that leads to, siloed culture. Looking ahead at opportunities, we actually have 2 slides for opportunities. It was identified that we have an opportunity to focus on population health, preventive health, further implementation of value-based care arrangements, broadening our ability to address health-related social needs, ensuring access and navigation for access to behavioral health resources. Some of the fiscal improvement opportunities include continuing to improve the revenue cycle performance and obtaining grants and private donor support. Also an opportunity to diversify health plan products or provide services based on demographic changes, and further leveraging technology. So we heard this a lot, that we should be really promoting telehealth, virtual health, and seeing how we can leverage artificial intelligence. We also got feedback that we should focus on leveraging technology for our referral partners to allow for improved continuity of care in a referral situation. Finally, on this slide, conducting scenario planning based on potential federal reductions. There's an opportunity to try to proceed in a thoughtful way, to minimize patient or member impact. The next slide on opportunities includes a note that we have an opportunity to enhance our synergy between CCDPH, County Care, and CCH as a provider, expand our accelerated hiring programs, build clinical research, leverage other, partnerships with other healthcare organizations, conduct process improvement to improve clinical workflows and administrative workflows, ensure appropriate escalation of concerns, that there's a pathway for people to raise concerns within CCH, provide, additional services in the community, maybe by leveraging community-based organizations. The last two pieces of feedback on this slide include continuing our employee engagement and retention programs, and having a continued commitment to maintaining a diverse workforce. Under the threats, none of these will probably come as a surprise to this group. We're certainly, everyone seems very concerned about changes to Medicaid eligibility requirements or other federal policy changes or changes in reimbursement. We've already seen a growing uninsured and underinsured population. We expect with the changes whatever they will be under Medicaid, or even the HBIA population that we already know is going to happen, that there's going to be a growing uninsured population. There's still a national healthcare workforce shortage that we are not immune to, and that'll make our hiring challenging. Service reductions at other healthcare organizations, especially safety nets. We've seen over the past number of years some of the safety nets reducing certain services, and that has a downstream impact on us and, needing to provide care in some instances to those patients. Overall, reduced access to care for specific populations, including women, LGBTQIA, and immigrant populations due to executive actions, changes in laws, or closure of community service providers. Another threat identified is decreasing vaccination rates. We might have to position ourselves to address that more than we otherwise would have. A reduction or elimination of federal grants and worsening social determinants of health throughout Cook County. Finally, a threat identified that is already present is cybersecurity threats that we should be mindful of. So that's the feedback that we've received to help us build the strategic plan. And this last slide is just a reminder of the timeline going forward. So we'll use that feedback to build the strategic plan. And certainly if there are any questions or comments on the feedback we received, I'm happy to take those now.
Director Garza.
Yeah, I don't have any questions. I just want to say that I really appreciated your engagement, at least with the group I was with. I thought it was thoughtful and meaningful, and I know it'll be impactful, especially as it relates to the integration between the three major parts of the system. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Well, as you read the threats, I sighed heavily.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot, yeah. But we have the team ready. Thank you. Thank you very much, and thanks for all presenting the service lines. Thank you, we really appreciate it. In spite of all this, I mean, as the Director Lowry said, we really appreciate all the hard work and the continued dedication, despite all you term the dynamic environment and your attention. And we're going to do all we can as a board, as a group, to support all of you and the important work that you do. So, thank you for that. The next item is the biannual report from the Employment Plan Officer, which will be reviewed by Kimberly Kraft, our Employment Plan Officer. Kimberly.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
All right, so as mentioned, I'm here to provide a summary of the Employment Plan, Office's 21st semi-annual report. You could go to the next slide. I know all of you know what the employment plan is and the function of the Employment Plan Office, but for the benefit of the broader audience, and just to provide context for what is in the report, I always like to start with a slide that just goes through what the employment plan is and the function of the Employment Plan Office. So the employment plan is the manual containing structured processes for hiring and other employment actions that are applied system-wide here at Cook County Health, designed to prohibit discrimination. The processes in it are proactive, meaning that they are designed to prevent the opportunity for discrimination to happen. They also require transparency, meaning that our leaders, when they're making decisions, they are documenting consistent with the process, demonstrating that they have followed all applicable requirements and that they have made lawful decisions. The employment plan also requires that we honor our collective bargaining agreements. The function of the Employment Plan Office, we are a team of Cook County Health employees who oversee and support compliance with the employment plan. So the bullets below that kind of just show how we go about doing that. A big part of what we do is prepare training and train the employees so that everybody knows what the rules are and can follow the rules. Beyond that, we do a lot of observing and auditing of employment actions. So that could mean that we are, observing employment plan activity in real time, or we could be reviewing documents after the fact. That allows us to see how we're doing from a compliance standpoint. That's important because, if we observe things in real time, we can give real-time coaching and kind of get things back on track. But even with auditing, if we see something that was non-compliant, we can direct, what we need to the appropriate leaders to see that things are brought into compliance. But jumping to the bullet point below that, observing and auditing also is very important to seeing how we're doing, because we're also responsible for developing strategies and procedures to achieve compliance. So, that could mean increasing, additional training or job aids, things like that, help support our leaders in HR. We also have an investigative function. If we receive reports of non-compliance with the employment plan, we would investigate those and issue reports at the conclusion of those. If we find some non-compliance, our goal is to have things corrected and prevent recurrence. So if we have recommendations for how to correct things, if they can be corrected, we do that. And very importantly, how to prevent recurrence. We also have a role in providing feedback in the employment plan amendment process. And of course, preparing semi-annual reports, which is why we're here today. So twice per year, in mid-March and in mid-September, we issue reports that address employment plan related activities and employment plan office observations for the preceding 6 months. So the report that I'm presenting today covers July through December of 2024. It was due on March 15th, issued the 14th, and is available on the website. Next slide, please. So what is new? As I just mentioned, we did issue the 21st semi-annual report. It is now on the website. Also, from a transparency perspective, our website is one of our primary mechanisms for providing transparency. And so over time, I have made recommendations for how to come fully into compliance with what the employment plan requires. For example, getting our job descriptions up there was a big success recently. There have been, in this past reporting period, some significant improvement with HR's quarterly reports, which are a requirement of the employment plan to go up there. In the past, we observed that the template that was used didn't have all of the fields for all of the different employment actions that needed to be reported. There's been a lot of work over time to get that corrected and more robust. And currently, it's very much improved. There's still one more field to work on, and we'll continue to work with HR to get that in place. So from a policy perspective, it was mentioned, I believe in Andrea's slides, that, the accelerated hiring pilot process that was used last year, was approved, now for use, to hire to fill permanently, the formerly Hectone position. As far as new resources, we have Lynn Buren, who joined during the applicable, reporting period. So we have worked well with Lynn since he joined, and I'm confident that we will continue to work, well together, and we'll meet our joint compliance-related goals. In this applicable reporting period, these direct deployment job aids that we felt were necessary to support HR and our leaders in the direct deployment hiring process, they were finalized. And then we also introduced information sessions for our leaders to help them satisfy their requirements for the training opportunities and overtime policies. So we rolled that out. They had a semi-annual requirement most recently December 15th. And so we rolled that out to help support them in that process. Next slide. So the next two slides are basically just here to demonstrate for you that the process is working. So we do monitor a lot of hiring processes. These ones listed on the slide are our most frequently utilized ones. Any of the ones that are appointments, you know, the volume isn't so high that we can't look at all of them. So we do look at all of those. For our most frequently utilized hiring processes, like revised, which encompasses general hiring and actively recruited, in our ACP, advanced clinical positions, the volume is really high on those, so we do just look at samples. But this table here just kind of shows you how we put our duties into action. So, for example, on the top slide, as we saw some inadequate documentation on ARP forms, which is what our hiring leaders use to document their screening and verification of qualifications and creating interview lists, we were able to offer coaching on that. And so that is just there to kind of quickly offer a snapshot of how we assist the organization to with their compliance efforts. Next slide. These are our non-hiring employment actions. Again, there are many, and you know, we're either observing in real time or through document reviews our compliance with all of these. So again, this slide is there to show you how the process has worked. So for example, with discipline, you know, we look at those, and to the extent that we find anything, you know, and there is a team within HR that's also accessing and reviewing these for compliance, so it's not necessarily coordinated or contemporaneous. So what we do with those is, as we identify anything that would be, you know, a very significant concern in terms of the validity of the corrective action, maybe, you know, if it looks like maybe the required progressive discipline wasn't followed, or maybe if we see protected health information in a packet, we will direct those to the appropriate team within HR so that that can be resolved. Next slide. As I mentioned, we also have an investigative function. And as you can see at the bottom of the slide, I'm sure you recall, back in early 2023, we reported to this board that we had a significant backlog at that time. And that was the result of some short staffing in the employment plan office for a period of time, as well as, you know, once we had the pandemic and the Great Resignation, we had to kind of a lot of competing priorities, and we, you know, became involved in the development of our temporary revised hiring process and our temporary revised hiring fair process, and developing all the training related to that. So we did get into a bit of a backlog there. You did ask at that time that we provide a table for you of all of the investigations that we had in terms of when they were opened. And so we did that at that time, and it's included in the full report still that you can look at. But we are happy to report we are down to 25. We still have a few that are aged, and we are committed to getting through the rest of those, the most aged ones, before the conclusion of the current reporting period, which is at the end of June.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
The most aged, give us a sense of that.
The ones that were submitted to our office the longest.
I know, like, in how long?
There are still a couple from 2022 and 2023.
Yeah, but I just want to point out that going from 130 in early 2023 to 25 is very significant.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we've put a lot of work into it, and we can thank this guy right here. He works tirelessly on those investigations. All right, next slide. What is ahead? Okay, so again, we're all about making sure that we're transparent. So one of the things that we're really looking to have is those temporary revised hiring processes that I mentioned back from 2022. You remember we were right in the middle of, wrapping up a pandemic and Great Resignation. And so there was these temporary processes that were implemented at that time, on a very expedited basis. We really do need those because they're still in action or still in process. We do need those to be documented and incorporated into the plan. Website, we talked about the quarterly reports. We've made a lot of progress, and I'm hoping by the end of this current reporting period that ends in June, at the end of June, that we can get that last field incorporated into the quarterly reports. And then we did observe in this last reporting period that sometimes it's a little bit difficult. We do still have interviews, job interviews, that are conducted virtually. So that can kind of present some challenges to my team in terms of being able to monitor meaningfully everything. And so what we've done or recently completed now is creating a job aid that we can provide to departments when we are going to be monitoring virtual interviews and selection meetings so that they can better support us in being able to see everything that we need to see. Policy updates, of course, there's, continued modernization of the employment plan and related implementational procedures, including current work is ongoing for a permanent accelerated hiring process, as well as another hiring process that is also aimed at expedited hiring. So more to come. I'm sure HR will report on that for you. We are looking forward to some updates to some of our supplemental policies, and we are working closely with a project manager in HR to develop a workflow surrounding implementation of our third-party providers policy, which is the policy that governs contracting and training and all those things related to contractors that come on to support hiring processes. And then for training and resources, we'll update the employment plan training and job aids as the plan and supplemental policies are modified. We do have training that should be rolling out soon for administrative support personnel, as we mentioned in past trainings and reports. Having our administrative personnel that support our leaders in the hiring process trained is going to really help from an efficiency and compliance perspective. Making sure that everything that's turned into HR at the conclusion of a process is compliant we're really hoping that will help reduce the time at the end, in which HR is looking for departments to correct things before they can move forward with offers. We are focused now on and preparing to roll out additional training for HR personnel, whether it be for new employees or annual. And then finally, we did identify, even with the those support sessions that we had for training opportunities and overtime, our leaders still need additional support. So we will be working on some other strategies with that in this current reporting period. And with that, next slide. That is all I have, unless anyone has any questions.
So first of all, thank you for the report. And, I truly embrace the importance of the employment plan, but I equally embrace hearing that we're considering a permanent accelerated hiring process. Because I think because of the time associated with the plan, there have been times where we have, it's impacted our ability to bring in certain medical professionals. So I think I speak on behalf of the Cook County Board. If this becomes a permanent allowance, however that is rolled out, I think that'd be greatly supported. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. The next item is the Managed Care Committee metrics, which will be reviewed by Christina Torino and Aaron. Oh, just Aaron? Well, Aaron was good. I was like, okay. Welcome, Aaron.
Good morning. Sorry for the switch. Thought you were present. All right, starting with membership, we're at 412,000 members as of March. We have started to see some small declines in membership month over month. What we're seeing across the Medicaid market in Illinois and also in Cook County is that there's decreasing Medicaid enrollment. That's been a pretty consistent trend over the past 6 months. So we're, I think, starting to see some of that flow through in terms of our membership numbers as well.
What is slight?
500 to 1,000 members per month. If you go to the next slide, you can see our market share has increased during this period. So we're now up to 34.8%. We were previously around 34.2 to 34.3%. So while the overall Medicaid market has been declining, we've actually been gaining market share through that period. So what we're seeing is that our membership is declining less on a proportional basis than what the other MCO's membership is declining. The rest of the market's been pretty stable. Blue Cross continues to be the second largest in Cook County at 27% market share. And, you know, it seems like the market share we have gained has come pretty evenly across the other MCOs. So you can see this trend that I'm talking about here. So if you look at the red line on the right, you can see that's Medicaid enrollment in Cook County, which is continuing to consistently decline. We knew that was going to happen throughout the redetermination period, but what's you know, been the trend that's been interesting to see is now that we're past this large READY wave that happened. So really looking at the data from October through January here is that Medicaid enrollment has continued to shrink. On the left-hand side, you can see our membership. So we had the increases earlier in the year from bringing on the HBIA, HBIS populations, and then we see the READY impact where we had significant declines. And then you can see that we sort of flattened out in terms of membership after that, with some slight increases, some slight decreases. This data is through January, which is what's published by the state. As you look forward, February and March data, as I mentioned, we've seen some month-over-month decreases as well. The next slide shows our membership compared to our budget, and so you can see some of that trend here when you look January through March. Again, slight decreases. We're still well ahead of our budget projections. I will note that, as you know, in the governor's budget proposal, coverage for the HBIA population is being eliminated, so that would potentially impact us for July 1st membership. So we would see a 16,000 to 17,000 member loss in July. So I think we will continue to have membership that exceeds our budget targets over the course of this year, but probably will hit the point in July where we start running under what our projections were for the budget. But I think on a full year basis, we'll still end up overall on average hitting our budget numbers.
Aaron, what, if the elimination of HBIA prevails in that budget proposal, what's the actual, how's that translating to financial impact? I know you said you'll still be breaking even, but I'm just interested in what that void would be.
Yeah, so from a financial perspective, we obviously, you know, lose the revenues associated with those numbers. There's also expenses that go away on the health plan side. You know, there is some amount of margin that we earn on the health plan side off of those members. That's relatively modest. So that I think is not a significant concern for us. I think the more significant concern is a lot of the services that population is receiving is coming at Cook County Health, and so that reimbursement that we then pay over to Cook County Health is going to go away, and that impact, I think, is north of $100 million.
Thank you.
Yeah, the good news is that we remain over budget, but looking at the trend, that we may be at budget at some point. And so are we thinking down the line about what that might mean when we're at budget, and what are we doing with that money? We have this indicates that we're over budget.
Yeah, so I mean, from a financial perspective, again, obviously, as we're over budget, we have higher revenues and higher expenses at the same time. So that will kind of continue to be aligned as those numbers come down and aligned with the budget from a membership perspective. You know, I think obviously we're heading into a period of potential uncertainty, so we are trying to proactively get a little more aggressive in terms of some of our financial planning and things we can do to, you know, execute on cost initiatives and those kind of things. But you know, a lot of us are still in this wait and see mode until we understand some of the federal policy changes that are going to happen, and also what happens with the HBIA program and the state legislative session. The slide shows our operations metrics. No real call-outs here. I think everything's performing well within you know, the service levels we'd be expecting. We've been continuing to especially monitor our call center metrics really closely, and also work around enhancing quality of the service there, and leveraging our call center for other opportunities in terms of, you know, when an individual calls in, being able to identify if they have a care gap, for example, and then educate them about that care gap and help assist them with scheduling appointments. So while these measures here look at a lot of the kind of process-related things, we're also trying to build in increasing enhancements around more value-add opportunities to engage with our members with our call center as well. The next slide shows our utilization metrics. I think we're continuing to see similar trends where utilization continues to increase year over year. You know, I think as we've discussed before, this was somewhat expected as membership has declined, and we're left with a population in our health plan that has higher medical needs. I think this is pretty consistent across MCOs right now when we look at the data across the state. So, you know, it's something we're continuing to monitor, but we expect this will start to even out now that we've seen membership really, for the most part, flatten out. The next slide shows claims payments. Again, I think we're continuing to focus on that 30 to 60-day category to try to get that down to really eliminating that and get our claims payment timeframes back into the 30-day mark. We're continuing to make progress on that with some numbers bouncing around due to timing and exactly when this report gets ran, which is a snapshot. But I think overall we've seen that trend continue to decrease. The next slide.
That's it. So you had a next slide, so now I have a question. What did you think should be on the next slide?
I thought we had a thank you question slide. But
No, but seriously, I appreciate it. We covered a lot. You know, this is maybe an unfair question. What's your biggest concern right now?
You know, I think biggest immediate concern is the HBIA population and that transition in terms of the impact on that population. We've seen a lot of gains in the health status of those individuals, and I think we're all very concerned about seeing that slide backwards. And so not just for us as a plan, but thinking about how we're able to do transitions with those individuals as they lose coverage, and ensure that if they're in a course of treatment or they're actively in care, that they're able to sustain that and continue to get that care.
Thank you. To your point around the opportunities, so I assume we're working across to address that now, starting to put those plans in, because we should just assume.
For the HBIA
Yeah.
population, yeah, I think we're assuming that won't be addressed, like they won't,
So we have to have the transition.
Yeah, the big issue is that it probably will increase charity care.
Yeah,
So-
it will.
I
So we have
mean,
to think
we
about
won't be getting any money, but we will be spending more money.
Right, so the fiscal impact and all that. And so there's both the care transition and then the fiscal impact, we have to think about that as a board. Yes, Sorrell.
And, have you also seen, or are you tracking, have there been decreases in engagement with that community as well due to potential anxieties about interacting in the healthcare environment because of risk of ICE or other encounters?
Yeah, it's still a little bit early for us to, I think, see that show up in our data, just because there's usually a 90-day kind of lag in terms of claims data. But I do think that's a concern. We're obviously also starting to do efforts to reach out to try to, specifically with the HBIA population, to get them into care ahead of that loss of coverage. And so I think that's one of the concerns, is how that engagement's going to respond. I think that's also a concern when we look at the Medicaid enrollment numbers. Even for individuals that are not in the HBIA population, for example, children that may qualify and be covered under the standard Medicaid program, I think there's potential that there's more hesitancy for parents to renew their coverage and sign them up. So I think that's another concern that is hard for us to get to in terms of the data, but I suspect is contributing to some of the Medicaid enrollment decline we're seeing.
And so, given that, are you monitoring whether there's increased telemed encounters or marketing, so the utilization of telemed, if that may be an easier way to continue engagement in healthcare, or how you can structure or market that so that there are additional options for the continuance in care?
Yeah, we've thankfully been building out a lot of our telehealth options over the past years. I think we're well positioned to offer that as a different avenue, and we've just recently started to launch that more, for example, on our website and our provider directories, to call that out more. Again, we're still a little early to see if we're seeing that uptick in utilization there, but that is something we're trying to leverage.
Right, particularly going forward, once they may fall to uninsured or charity care, because those costs associated with telemed and other services may also directly impact the bottom line as well, too. Thanks for keeping us posted.
Director Garza, do you have a question? Director, any additional questions or comments? Thank you very much, Mary. Well, we are moving forward. Actually, the board will now be going into closed session. Action is not expected to be taken in open session after the discussion of closed session. Given that, I'd like to entertain a motion to go into closed meeting pursuant to the following exceptions to the Open Meetings Act. Be patient. 5 ILCS 120-2, C 1, 2, 11, 12, and 17. Do I have a motion? No roll calls needed. Do I have a
I'll make the motion.
Second. Thank you. Thank you, Director Esther Cross. Oh, I'm sorry, a roll call vote is needed. I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry. Thank you.
Roll call vote on the motion to go into closed session. Aye or nay? Director Bott is absent. Director Garza?
Aye.
Director Green? Aye. Director Harrington?
Aye.
Director Kim? Director Kim? Oh, I didn't hear.
Aye.
Aye. Director Lowry?
Aye.
Sorry, Vice Chair Lowry.
Aye.
Thank you. Director Ryder is absent. Director Robinson is absent. Director Sorrell? Aye. Director Webster Cross?
Aye.
And Chair Taylor? Aye. Yep. You have 8 yeas and 3 absent.
Thank you. The ayes have it. The motion carries. We'll now go into closed session. Thank you all. Thank you all for coming. Hope you have a great weekend. For all of you at that, again, appreciate it. Thank you.